So what I'm currently doing at the moment on the GTR is remasking up the whole car, putting some new plastic on the back here, because on that 3M blue tape and drape, it is a one-sided tape, so pretty much you have to stick it down on a certain face or the paint actually flakes off once it dries. So what I've done is I've actually used this plastic sheet and masking tape facing sticky side out, so it captures a lot of the excess paint. Paper would have been better, but is what it is. The car is pretty much 100% sanded. All the primer's been 100% sanded down. I'm going to be taking the bonnet off and taking the doors out soon and hitting those with the orbital. The bonnet's completely done, but I'll be taking it off for the actual respray. But yeah, I'm taking those out, smashing those out, and the rest of the bumpers and so on, and I should be completely done, which is exciting. But yeah. Job which I've done, but it's just pretty much not allowing anything into the back of the car there, and it's been taped from the underside and then taped from the top side to give it a bit more durability, but it should work fine. I'm just be going over all of these bits of the rear quarter glass, and the front windscreen. So I'm just going to take this bootlet outside and start hitting it with the orbital sander. I've got all of these bits and pieces now actually painted up, and obviously going to start heading up with a 320 grit tomorrow and 600. Probably gives a light scuff over the 600, probably just mainly the 320, and still got to primer those babies. But 320, Scotch Brite 600, and then we should be ready to paint it all. But it was looking pretty good. I just mainly wanted to get a base down so I could see the imperfections and work from there, because I know they were not perfect, especially this rear bumper. So I found exactly where I need to sand and what to do. Yeah, and it should be looking all good. So got the car in the booth, which we have actually fully made up now, and lights on the sun. We've got pretty good lighting in here, but it is ready to paint pretty much. I've got a couple more things which I'm doing. I ripped off all the rear quarter masking and I'm redoing that, especially the trim masking, especially down here, which when you paint, most people don't notice it, but I'm pretty particular about it, so it's one thing I do notice. I've also been going over the masking and just making sure everything is sanded to my liking, and it is actually starting to look very trick. It's looking pretty good. Hey guys, thought I'd get an update of how everything's going. It's pretty much ready now. I'm just making sure redoing some bits of masking where it's kind of hasn't stuck properly. So I probably need to give a bit of a alcohol wipe behind there to make sure that it actually adheres properly with this masking here, because it will peel off even more when thinners and so on get onto it. So just making sure everything's all ready, flat, ready to go, and get it look clean and linear when I start painting. But yeah, I'm just going to start. There's a couple little patches like that bit there, a little bit there, and I think it's one spot. Where is it? Oh, it's a slight line there and a little dent there, and I think one other right. Where is it? Right here. There. So I'm just gonna mix some bog up and fill those little holes. Yeah, just me fill in those little bits and then hit it with some sandpaper, remask up a bit of this masking, and then I'm gonna start mixing up some paint after giving it a blow down and a wipe down. Mask up the wheels a little bit, I've got to remember that. All those little bits on there, and I'll just give those a quick little hit with some sandpaper, some 320 grit just before, and I'm just gonna start masking up the wheels now. So all of the masking is finally done, wheels are all done, and all of these rear windows here have been remasked again, just to double check over them, and I'll put extra on just to make sure that it doesn't turn to crap there, but it looks pretty damn good, to be honest, and I'd almost rather have more an underlap on the plastic so I can scrape it off rather than an overlap onto the paint, but it seems to be pretty much perfect throughout the whole thing. So I'm going to start mixing some base, give us another wipe down just before, and start spraying. Paint's a lot thinner, so it's a hell of a lot easier to mix. Thank God, because that stuff there is 50-50 or 1-to-1, and Jesus Christ, it is so thick to mix. Unfortunately, with the gun there, it leaked a little bit of water on a couple of bits of paint on the paint, but I think I better wet sand some of that stuff out just gently. But I'll just put another coat on top of it just to make sure. But yeah, everything else is turning out okay. Fortunately, the bonnet, same kind of thing. Water trap on the actual compressor is not doing the best job, so fortunately it isn't. Yeah, a little bit unlucky, but that is okay. Shit happens. This stuff should spray it way better. So I thought I'd give a quick update on what else is happening on the car. Unfortunately, when I went to lay the paint down on a couple of areas in the car and I was painting with the base, some of the base actually reacted, the thinner actually started reacting with the base, the primer that I laid down. And it was a rookie mistake. I used a different primer just to touch up in a couple of areas, which was a can primer. It was a rookie mistake. I was just being lazy, really. Ended up cocking that up a bit, so it reacted on that one part, but the rest of the car laid down pretty linear. As I said previously, that a couple of things happened with the gun where the water got in there, the water traps weren't working properly, or the water trap on the compressor wasn't working properly, so it was building up a little bit too much. So that's a bit unlucky, so what I'm going to do now is just wet sand the imperfections which I have out, especially where the water got in, and I'm going to actually, once I've wet sanded that, I'm just going to lay down a flow coat of white and make that linear, give it a scuff up, and then start laying down the clear. So it's not all bad, but the rest of it turned out really well. Just those couple little areas, which was a bit of a bummer, but shit happens, you know, and you learn from it, so thank God I do. Yeah, already modded that. Short throw now. Got the story.